Hi, my name is Dr. Akilah Willery, and welcome to the Melanated Midlife Podcast, where Black midlifers share stories of how to live your boldest life after turning 50. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Melanated Midlife Podcast. I am your host, Akilah Willery, and today I am joined by guest Tiffany Nelson. She actually is a midlife reinvention coach, exactly like the work that I do. So we actually found each other online and decided that this was going to be an awesome way to collaborate by bringing her onto the podcast so that she could share her story, her journey, and all the inspiration that you need to make that midlife pivot. Her story is not going to be an easy one. There were a lot of ups and downs, but she has a message for anyone that is staying safely in their comfort zone and is afraid to take that first step into a major midlife pivot. So I hope you get as much out of this conversation as I did. So join me in welcoming Tiffany Nelson to the Melanated Midlife Podcast. Hello, Miss Tiffany Nelson. I am so happy to have you here today on the Melanated Midlife Podcast. How's it going?
I'm so glad to be here with you. Thank you for inviting me. I'm excited.
We have been just a little too excited to record this. I mean, we're doing business and I'm goofy. I sense the goofy in you. So
Absolutely.
we probably should not sit next to each other in person. But
Well,
the beauty,
there goes the fun in that.
I know. I mean, but the beauty of this is that we talk a lot of the same core topics, and so I'm gonna sit here and take notes as like I can geek out because I think that is something that not enough people understand that this whole midlife transition, this whole rebuild, and I love the title of your podcast, The Rebuild. There's so much power in your title, the name of that. But there's so much in this rebuild. There's so many layers to this. And it's a message that more people need to hear because there's an isolation, I think, that folks feel when they're going through something, coming out of something. And the tendency would be to go hide and to put all of that in the closet and just kind of pretend that we're okay. And that's not quite how it goes. That's not the real story. And the stories that you and I are telling, I think we need to hear more of that. So anyway, Miss Tiffany Nelson, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I think about this all the time. Like, how do I introduce myself? And I live in a place where people are often defined by what do you do? And I'm definitely defined by who am I? So I am a powerful, outrageous, responsible leader. I'm a life strategist. I'm a personal growth development coach. And professionally, I'm an HR operations manager.
So you deal with people for
I deal
money.
with people. I deal with people, lots of people over many different industries. So that's always fun.
Yeah, so you get to see both sides of things, dealing with folks one-on-one, you do it in an official corporate structure, and then you are still offering support, your expert support, for folks that are making this transition. But, you don't just stumble into this kind of work just waking up one day and saying, you know what, I think I want to talk about very vulnerable transitions and all that stuff. No, it comes from a very personal place.
It does. It does. And I think that by this point in my life, I've lived a little bit of life.
Just a little
I've
bit.
earned, just a little, just a little. I tell people if I have baggage, it's because I paid for this baggage and paid emotionally, paid with experience, I've paid with wisdom, I've paid with taking risks, getting hurt. But it is my own and it's something that I gladly own. So I think I've just lived a lot of life, but I think there is something interesting and I see it even with you. Like I see this so much in you. I think to your point a bit earlier, there are people who, Akilah, everyone doesn't live life passionately. There are some people who just get up and they go to work and they come home and they watch TV and they go to sleep and they get up and they go to work and they come home and they sit down and watch TV and they get up. And there's this repetition. But I think I always had an interest in living a dynamic life. And so there was a period of me feeling maybe a little bit depressed, of actually being depressed.
Mhm.
But once the depression moved on, or I moved on from it, I realized what a gift life really is.
Yeah, and that I wanna come back to that because we've got we could share some stories, honey.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
I know that you talk about with your most recent episode, and yes, I was nerding out, spying on your most recent podcast episode, and you talked about the R's of this
Yes.
whole rebuild.
Yeah.
And with folks that you encounter that are in that, the repetition, the routine, and they truly have accepted that this is it,
Yeah.
that this is it. And then once this is something that I've seen is that you get to a certain point and you kind of take a glance back and you're like, okay, I've been doing this exact routine for 15, 20, 25 years, and I still got a lot of life ahead of me. Is this how I want to continue? And most folks probably don't make a change at that point. They just accept it. But like you, like myself, sometimes life will knock you into a new routine.
Yes.
So tell me, take me there. So with the folks that are listening to this, they're probably feeling called out and disrespected right now
Oh, did she
because
say that?
they have accepted the routine. And I'm like, no, girl, there's something else. So what had to knock you out and start coming out into, this rebuild of your own?
This is a beautiful question and a beautifully phrased question. Thank you for your graciousness with this question. So multiple things knocked me out, knocked me down, knocked bowled me over. I would say the first thing was my divorce. I was with someone who I thought I was going to live the rest of my life with. I thought we were going to have, happily ever after. It certainly started out that way. It was, a classic case of he saw me from across the room and he approached me and we chatted and she laughed and touched her chest. It was all of that. It was all of that. It was, 6
Yeah.
months later, we were engaged on the Brooklyn Bridge. I'm a New Yorker. So we got engaged on the Brooklyn Bridge and he had asked for my parents' hand in all of that, the fairy tale wedding, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then, and it didn't take very long. I was like, oh, we're not compatible. We're not compatible. Yeah, I didn't cheat on him. I didn't beat him. He didn't beat me. It was nothing like that. But we weren't compatible. And when it came down to it, I didn't like him. I didn't like him. Like he's not someone that I would be friends with.
Okay, you rewind. That's a mic drop moment.
Yeah.
You whispered that to people. You just
Yeah.
said that out loud. That y- you had the clarity to see
Yeah.
that this is not a person that like I said. I'm thinking about my dad. My truck driver dad would say, if ain't nobody cutting and shooting each other, then you should be able to work it out.
Right.
That's his.
Right.
That's his
Right.
old school
Right.
philosophy. Much respect to my dad. But
Absolutely.
you just said the quiet part out loud. We just simply were not compatible. This
We
is
weren't
not
compatible.
somebody I
Yeah.
wanted to be with.
Yeah, that's really what it
Oh,
came down to. And I think a lot of people have a tough time just identifying what it is that they do like. I want to touch on this briefly. So I think there are other cultures that are taught to date, and I don't know that we are necessarily taught to date. So I think other cultures are thought like date this guy, date this person, date this person, date this person to see what you
right.
like and to definitely narrow down and distill what you don't like. And
Uh-huh.
I don't know that. And when I say our culture, I mean our age group, 70s and 80s babies, 90s babies, typically, from immigrant families, from families that have moved, maybe from South to the Northeast or from
Right.
the West Coast to Middle America. Like we're as people of color, as Black people, specifically, even drilling down further, Black women, we're not taught to date all types of people and see what we like. We're taught
Yeah.
to, if someone shows interest in you, I mean, there's no reason why you can't work it out. You have all the similarities. You're both maybe from similar families and you're both from similar economic backgrounds. But the truth is there's so much more to relationship than those things.
I get it. Ooh,
Yeah.
girl. Okay. I want I could just
Yeah.
sit right here in this part of the story, but I know there's more because and I want to go again, I was nerding out listening to your podcast because with that exact piece of feeling or understanding that okay, we're not compatible anymore. You had this epiphany almost immediately that okay, I can be all right by myself.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought it when we first got together and I did everything to push it down. Because it was a thought that popped into my head and I was like, okay, I'm not having other thoughts that are consistent with this.
Mhm.
So let me suppress this thought. And for a while we were happy for a while, or maybe I was content. Maybe it was just okay. Maybe I was content and it was okay. It's so funny that you mentioned your dad. I was talking to my dad last week and he said something so interesting to me. He said, you're always happy. And he's like, I really like that you make your own happiness. And I think so for a good part of my life, I've made my own happiness. And I
Yeah.
wasn't necessarily relying on my husband at that time to make me happy. So life was fine. We were married, we didn't have children, we were just enjoying life. And I was probably living more like a single person who happened to be married than I
Ooh,
was living
okay.
as a married person. Yeah.
That's a revelation, and I've heard this before where
Mm-hmm.
there is a point in a marriage, in a union that is slowly starting to dissolve, that you live together separate lives.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that is something, like you said, you're content, everybody's healthy, everybody's functioning, and you're just like, okay, maybe this is what it's supposed to be like. Maybe I'm the
Right.
problem.
Right. Right. Am I the problem? Is it me?
Yeah,
Yes. Yes. I
am
was
I
the
the problem?
problem.
It's supposed to be roses and Hallmark movies and
Yeah.
pumpkin festivals.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the honest part is that it is work in any
Mhm.
relationship, which I'm jumping into another one of your talking points about just relationships in general. We sometimes think relationships with it being romantic, but relationships with other human beings that are in our lives, that changes as well. But let me shut up and let you finish talking because I'm
No, I
rolling
think
it, girl.
you're striking on so many good points. Like I'm over here, I'm discreetly taking notes. Okay, got to come back to yeah. I think so. A couple of things. I do think. So if we're talking about rebuilding, right? I
Yes,
think that
totally the
one of the
rebuild.
main things, my first point in rebuilding is that we need to release ideas that we might have had. And I think there's a lot of that doesn't happen because people, honestly, with the amount of time that we have in a week, and I know that I can tell you have great time management. Like I can just tell by your personality, like you manage your time, you know how to manage teams, you know how to manage processes. Like I'm in HR. Like I get it. I get it. Like there are just certain things that I'm able to pick up immediately. And I think as far as managing for individuals with all the time that we have, I find that we don't typically take time to really think about what it is that we want from a relationship. What do we want to bring to the relationship? What do we want to be in a relationship? What do we want our partner to be like? And it's almost as if we're afraid to identify what we want because what often happens is something else comes along and we'll just take it. We'll just accept it. Even though that's
Mm,
not in the back of our minds. That's not what we thought we wanted. But
right.
we'll just accept it. Um, and so I think we'll accept what we think people want us to have, or the projections that we have from our family, or from our neighbors, or from our culture, or from our friends, and so I think that the first step is releasing. Before we can rebuild, we got to release. Before you build a new wardrobe, you got to release the stuff that's already in there. The throwback jerseys from '97 no longer support your elevated style. The brown outline lips.
Right.
This is old. This might have been a New York thing. The brown
No,
outline lips
girl,
with
that was a
listen.
thing.
Hey, we
Listen,
that was hip hop culture. I talk about this all the time. I say Gen X, we
absolutely.
are the hip hop culture, the hip hop generation. But you mentioned something about, the just I think when I think and I'm doing my Whitley Gilbert, relax, relate,
And
release.
release, yeah.
But it is true. It's true because there's this idea that and I don't know if it's generational, where we're thinking of what some idea that somebody else had for us, some expectations that somebody else had for us. And
Hmm.
we have to start looking inward. Is this my vision for my life?
Yeah.
And releasing that other people's expectations. Also, have I just internalized all of that? And at least with some folks I talk to, once we get to this age, it's been so ingrained of what my mom expected, what my grandparents, like I said,
Yeah.
immigrant parents expected
Yeah.
for us.
Yeah.
And we don't know what we want.
Yeah. Yeah,
But you
I find that that's often the case. I find that we will often say, and I think I'm sure you've had this experience, like you buy a new car, and then the moment you get this car, you're able to point out every other car on the street that's like that car, right?
yeah,
Meanwhile, when you were first researching the car, you're thinking, "Gosh, hardly anyone drives this car.
yeah,
I'm gonna be
it's
an
unique.
anomaly. I'm gonna be the only one." And so I think what happens is, to that point, I think that we're able to identify what we don't want. We're able to point it out, and we're not as easily able to say what we do want. So a friend of mine, makes this point and says, like, we often go into a restaurant and we start asking for things that are on the menu. Well, do you have such and such? But they've provided a menu to tell you what they do have. And you can't even pick from this, but you're ready to start selecting. Just stay right here. Yeah.
Mhm.
And even with questions, I'll ask them a lot in coaching and in deep work session, I'll ask someone, well, what is it that you want? Like, what is it that you want from a relationship? Well, I don't want someone who's shorter than 6 feet, and I don't want someone who doesn't make at least $100,000, and I don't want someone but that's great. But what do you want? What do you want? And I think that there's a lot that's found in that, what we do
Yeah.
want, yeah, and what we don't want. Mm-hmm.
Well, let me also ask you with exactly that, because I hear so many people that will say, I have here's my checklist of what I want, or what the other person can't come with. We have a harder time looking at ourselves and
Yeah.
measuring up to someone else's checklist.
Mm-hmm.
And at least us as Black women, we tend to be high achievers. We tend to be very direct with, what the outside world sees. But you turn that mirror right back on us, and there's a lot that we probably could work on. And I always tell folks, you need to move from the land of the shoulds. And
That's
once we
good.
get rid of I should be this, or I should da 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 da. And I'm just like, okay, just like you're saying, well, what do you want?
Yes. Yes. Oh, I love that. The land of the shoulds. I love that. I
Steal it,
love
girl.
that. I love that. Is it stealing if I tell you ahead of time that I'm taking
Hey,
it? I mean, I'm going
no,
to credit you.
we gotta have
Listen,
some synergy. We're going to do this, and I'm telling everybody, live. This is recorded live, whatever. Tiffany and I are going to do some things together, because I think
absolutely.
we've got a similar mission, and just stay tuned for that.
Yes, yes, please do. Please do. Yeah.
Yeah,
So you say the land of the shoulds, and for me it is Two Town. It's called Two Town because people are like, I'm too old. I'm too long in the tooth. I'm too overweight. It's too late. Oh, that's a good one. It's too late.
too
There are too
late.
many people already doing this. There are too many people who already have podcasts. Why are you doing that? I'm gonna strike a nerve with someone else.
Yeah,
There's someone who's listening to us. So I'm with you on the shoulds. I
absolutely.
do think that we get caught up in that, and I think it's a horrible place to be. And I make this, if we're going back to the car thing one more time, I talk about, for me in the Northeast in New York, I'm born and raised in Queens, New York. Shout out to Queens. But in New York in the 80s, early 80s, there was a there were these campaigns that were going out. They were all over the news, all over commercials, on radio, on television. And for the first time in the 80s, it was about buckling your seatbelt. I don't know if you had this.
I
Yeah.
remember this. Yeah.
So we were the first generation that we were going to be the drivers that were just learning to buckle our seatbelts. So naturally, once I started driving in the early 90s, I always buckled my seatbelt because that's all that I had learned as a driver. I make the point that my parents, they had to unlearn not wearing a seatbelt and relearn to buckle their seatbelts. So I think that there's something to be found in letting go of an old ideology, right? Because before, my dad would say, well, I didn't wear a seatbelt and I never got hurt. And I had four of you kids, two of you kids lined up again on the front seat with us and nobody. Yeah, Dad, but we also smoked in cars. We had ashtrays in cars. We all, like there was a lot of stuff that we did that shouldn't have been done.
And Mama probably drank and smoked while she was pregnant with
While
you.
she was pregnant, exactly.
Mhm.
And then they put her to sleep, and 20 minutes later, she woke up and she had a brand new bundle of. It was a different time, but I do think there's something that's very, very interesting about unlearning. And listen, they essentially taught the whole country to unlearn the programming of driving without a seatbelt and relearn the programming of putting on buckle up, stay alive, buckle up is, some of the things that they would say. So I think even in rebuilding, we're releasing an old mindset, the old mindset of I'm too this, I'm too that, or I should have done it before. I should have not waited this long. I should have married this guy. I should have married this girl. I should have not gotten into this relationship. I should have broken it off the first time that he cheated on me. I should have not followed in my mom's steps and becoming a nurse. I should have become an actor or an artist or the thing that really brings me. We're learning something new. We need to let go of the old and learn something new.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
all that releasing, because it's important. It's the scary part, or one of the scary parts, because you're letting things go and you truly believe that releasing is going to be replaced by an emptiness or a void. But it's not necessarily that. You're releasing so that you are open to receive whatever the next thing is. And and there's so much that can be talked about, whether it's releasing a relationship, releasing old mindsets. I had another colleague that talked about releasing some it had to do with debt, financial debt. And she just had to release some anger and resentment towards the person that helped her cause that debt so that she could pay it off. And it left her, she didn't see it at the time, but it left her open to receive a blessing that was right around the corner. She couldn't see it, smell it, or whatever, but it was waiting for her to be open to receive it. And everything changed, everything unlocked in her life once that happened. And I think about that example over and over again when you say, that there's a lot that you just need to let go of. And that mindset is probably the greatest prison that we lock ourselves into.
Absolutely. 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 I think even about, definitely our thoughts and ideas about money. Because don't forget, we've inherited these thoughts and ideas. If we're talking about money, we've inherited these ideas. And our melanated midlife doesn't look like our parents. This is not my parents. I remember my mom at my age, and this is not her. This is so, like we've inherited these things. We've been socialized to have a certain strategy or a certain way that we've interacted with our finances that just doesn't serve us now. I think once we have become more comfortable, or once we understand ourselves and really take a look at what it is we want to create, this is a great point. I a part of your story that I really, really love is your conversation around downsizing from a house to an apartment. And what I really love is like the joy and love and probably close relationship that you now have with your husband, because there are no trips to Lowe's and Home Depot and And I loved just to bring his name into the room when your husband made the point about
Why does he always get?
oh, I know. We love our black men. Sorry. We do. We
No,
love
we're
our
good.
men. Come on. But he made the point of every time you hear a noise, it's like, how much is that going to cost me? And I've been there. I've been there. Worse, I was there. So just a little bit of background, like my dad was a steam fitter, so he did HVAC. He could do electrical, plumbing, you name it, my dad can do it. And
Yeah.
then I married the person who wasn't. So my husband was like, what is that sound? And I was like, where's my toolbox? Get me my toolbox. Get me my toolbox because this is going to cost us. We were homeowners, so this is going to cost us. But yeah, like even those ideas around who should be who has what responsibility idea. Well, those are things that we need to release. Who should be? We both go to work. Why do I have to be the one to figure out who's going to make dinner? We're both going to eat. I don't have to figure. No, okay. We don't want to go there. Okay, I'm gonna let it go.
No, girl.
We don't want to go there. Okay,
no, let's go there. Let's go there because okay, so and I'm saying we Gen Xers, because there are some 30 somethings that are probably listening to this right now, or some 20 somethings just like, what are they talking about? Yeah, there was an expectation, we'll say way back in the 1900s,
right?
When
right.
you just, no matter what, the woman came home and made sure dinner was on the table.
Absolutely.
Or that, the house was clean or whatever. But now, and I will also back up and say that historically, Black women have never been able to have that period where we didn't work, where we weren't taking care of something or bringing money home into the financial part of the household. So having those conversations about, okay, there's a noise. Who's going to take care of it?
Right.
Or we're hungry. Who's going to take care of that?
Who's going to take care of it? Yeah.
Or baby's crying. Who's going to take care of that?
Right.
And there's so much about the expectations and what it looks like to other people, or expectations that you bring into the relationship, where it can look however it works for you.
Right. Right.
And if your partner is the expert in whatever area, okay, let them lean all the way into that and bring that talent into this relationship. If you are a woman and you've never turned on a stove, then hey, okay, figure out a way to make it happen for both of you.
Absolutely.
We're letting all that, girl.
We're
letting all that go and stop caring what somebody else is going to say. Stop caring how somebody else is going to judge you. Like you said, we've got a lot of living that we've done. We've got a lot of experiences, and just being super selfish of what this needs to look like for you is probably the greatest gift you're going to give to yourself.
Absolutely. And I think it's finding getting clear. It's clarity. Like pushing away all of the noise, all of the expectations, and getting clear on what is it that we really, really want. What is the life that we know that we're meant to lead? And it changes. Like part of your life was the model house, the beautiful house that was the showpiece, and it was a center of probably family gatherings and being together. And for a lot of people, I'm sure they felt love there that they hadn't felt in other places. But now you're in a different part of your life where you are at content creation.
Hey, both of us are nicely seasoned and full selves. We're both stepping out like this and showing other folks what this is all about. And I'm real curious, because with the people that you're working with, you get them to that point where you're asking that question of, what is it that you want? What does this happiness in your life, what's going to bring that joy? How do you get them to get that clarity? How do you get them to say, oh, I want this, or to see
this is good.
What are those conversations like for you?
So honestly, the conversation, this is a really great question. There are a few things that occur. From a practical sense, it is often doing a time analysis and just looking at, like, you have 168 hours for each week. How are you spending your time? Right? Because however you're spending your time is where your heart really lays.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's looking at how people spend their time, analyzing how people are spending their money, what you spend on, show me how you're spending your money, and I'll tell you the things that really matter to you. Show me how you're spending your time, I'll tell you the things that really matter to you. So I think, and from a practical lens, those are the things that's the work that I'm doing with clients to figure out what their next steps are, or to figure out a way to get clarity. Other than that, it's like quieting the noise, which means turning off the TV, maybe not scrolling on social media and seeing how other people are living their lives, maybe not being so involved in your company work, because guess what? The CEO of your company has built his dream life and you are now helping him. You're helping him. You're helping him live his dream life and you're not living yours. So yeah, so there's that, like, just from a more organic coaching space. Also, really just taking the time to ask people, what do you want? So my friends jokingly call me the graceful disruptor, because they're like, you will interrupt someone. And yes, I will. I will. Like, because often people want to give their story. And I'm like, no, I don't want to hear the story. Don't tell me the story. Don't tell me the story. Answer my question. My question is, what is it that you want? So if you say to me, hey, Tiffany, what do you want from a relationship? I'm quick to tell you, I want a relationship that's passionate, that's fun, with a partner who's ambitious and loving and caring, someone who I can trust. I want us to feel connected, have a great sense of communication, and I want our relationship to be sexy. I'm clear.
It's unapologetic.
Yeah. And I think that's what lends to, right? So if we're talking clarity, once we get really clear, that's where our confidence comes from. So listen, you can't be the only one who's like looking, like deep diving into my podcast. You can't be the only one. Like, I want to let you believe that you're the only one, but you're not. You're not the only one. If we're talking from a learning and development lens, somebody on this line may have a great deal of learning development experience, and I'm just going to say it's not me. Just say it, right? If we're talking, like, even talking from a learning and development, once you have that content, once you know that curriculum, teaching it, you land it. You land it. And that is the confidence. The confidence is knowing the material, understanding, let's say, the ethos of the company, if it's an organization that you're working with, and then you're able to deliver it. And I already know that you do things in excellence. So I think once people get clear, that builds their confidence. And then the other part is just having the courage to do it, to actually just do it.
And you know what? I'm glad you used that word, courage, because I hear that a lot. He was like, oh, well, that's so courageous that you've, fill in the blank, whatever XYZ is. And I always tell folks, the courageous move is the first tiny step that you make.
Yeah.
That first decision that makes a tiny, turn in another direction. And then once you do that, it sounds very cliche, but it's like the one thing that you're avoiding is going to unlock the next step. So, I know you did this. So how did you figure out all 12 steps? How did you figure out that it was going to work out this way? It's like, no, I had no clue.
Right.
I had no clue.
Right.
But I was courageous enough, there's that word. I was courageous enough just to do one tiny thing different. And, you get super spiritual and say, something, God was like, oh, girl, you did that thing. Okay, we're ready for the next one.
Absolutely.
I've got all these things prepared for you, but you've got to make that first step.
Absolutely.
And I'm unlocking doors as you keep moving some way. But if you stand still, if you stay where you are, if you're sitting on that couch and you're turning on Netflix every day, which, no disrespect to Netflix, I got plenty of shows that I'll go watch. But if that's all you're doing, if that's where your time is, then there's nothing that's going to show up and deliver it straight to your couch.
Right. You're so right. I think courage is definitely the first step. Courage only occurs in the presence of fear. So it has to be something that you are afraid of. There
Wait a
has
sec.
to be fear present. If fear
Girl.
isn't present, you're not being courageous. You're just doing a thing. So let's say if we were talking about tying our shoelace, right? Every day you get up, you put your shoes on, you tie your shoelace. There is nothing necessarily courageous about tying your shoelace. Let's say you are about to, and I feel like this might be something that I've seen in Texas. I might have seen a snake or two in Texas, maybe once or twice. They don't have too many snakes in New York. They have other vermin, but some with
Girl,
legs, some
we
without.
we got
But
all the creepy crawlies.
creepy girl. Let's say you were about to tie your shoelace. Let's say you bent down to tie your shoelace and there's a snake on the ground and you're afraid, but you're tying your shoelace. There's fear present. But the courageous thing to do is to tie your shoelace and then run for your life. Courage only occurs in the presence of fear. And I think that sometimes it is just a tiny step. I'm going to tell you a quick story. I did a challenge. This challenge is going to haunt me. I did a challenge not too long ago, and I did it for people who have been my former clients. So clients that I've had within the last 7 to 10 years. And two things happened. First of all, there were some clients, and I'm sure you've had this happen. You ever have the client that you don't necessarily hit it off with, but which is, it's so important for our work. This is why we do intake. This is why we do discovery calls, because you're just not going to hit it off with every client. And that's okay. One of the things that happened was I had some clients previously. And when I knew I was going to do this challenge, I was like, I didn't have a great experience. I don't know if I should invite them or not. But I wanted to have integrity. Like, I believe in having integrity. So I was like, you know what? I'll invite. If they decline the invitation, that's fine. But at least I'm doing the right thing by inviting them. I invited some of these clients, and when I tell you, we have created a whole new relationship. And I'm so glad that I stuck to the core and to my values. I really stuck to my values and invited them anyway. Anyway, that was one thing that happened. The other thing that happened was in this challenge, it was a week-long challenge. It included like 5 a.m. calls. It included like a daily task to do. There were check-ins. I provided everyone with some coaching time. One of the things that I was telling them one of the days was to make a courageous move, do one thing. So of course, if we're doing the work that we're doing, you and I, we want to have integrity and we want to be intentional. I don't want to tell a client to do something that I myself am not going to do. Like, I want to tell them, I'm telling them to do this because I've done it or I'm doing it. So one of the things that I decided to do was I decided that I was going to go on to a dating website. Decided that I was going to go on a dating website. So I go on to this dating website, and I had to do it before I sent out the email because I definitely wasn't going to say, well, make a move, do something courageous for them to say, well, what have you done that's, courageous lately? Right?
It was a put up or shut up.
Definitely that. And so I went onto a website, Akilah. I met like the most interesting people. I met a guy. We're dating. And I'm not saying nobody has to go order their bridesmaid dress just yet. Not just yet. But it opened up something that wouldn't have opened had I not taken the courageous step. Had I not taken that first step. So I love, that you're talking about this because I think it's something that's so important. And it starts with the smallest things. It starts with sometimes the courage is to do something different. If you're used to sleeping on the right side of the bed, sleep on the left. See what happens. Just try something different. If you brush your teeth with your right hand, try brushing your teeth with and it starts with those small steps. Also that's what builds confidence. That's what helps to build confidence.
I love that you put yourself in a scary situation on purpose. Or, like you said, you took that first step. And I know that somebody is listening to this right now and they're overthinking. I am the card carrying founding member of the Overthinkers Anonymous recovery group.
Got it. I understand.
I have always been that person where I'm going to research, I'm going to read, and you struck a nerve where you're like, oh, you're super organized. I have to release myself from that sometimes because, but somebody is like, well, she did that thing and she had it all figured out. She took the first
The
scary
first
step.
step. That's it.
That's it.
That's
You
it.
making that decision of I'm going to do this little thing. And I will say little thing. Sometimes it's a little thing. Most
Right.
times it's a little thing,
Most
but
times it is. Yeah.
it unlocks the next thing. We could go down such a rabbit hole with this because I know that some of it is from our age, it's from our maturity, it's from the experience where we've built up the muscles in whatever our expert space is, or even if it's
Yeah.
just life.
Right.
We know a lot of things, and to admit that we don't know something or that we have an area that is unexplored, that is sometimes too much for people to just say, you know what, I've never done that thing. I'm curious. Online dating, I've never even been on the sites. How does that work?
Right.
I want to start a podcast. What am I doing first?
Yeah.
And sometimes it can just be saying the thing out loud that you want. Again, getting clarity on what you want to do. And somebody's going to call back. Oh, I can help you with that. Or, oh, I've got a resource. Or,
Yes.
let's do it together. We can be scared and hold hands while we do it together. And the beauty is what happens on the other side of that decision.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think that's a beautiful way to frame it. And I think there's so much beauty that happens on the other side. I think also, to your point, I think we're a very unique group of people. I think we're a group of people who we've experienced life before technology and life after technology. I look at my daughter and I say, I call her, she's born in October, so I call her Pumpkin. So I said, Pumpkin, I said, Pumpkin, pretend that you're answering the phone. And she goes, hello? And I said, no, we go, hello. Right? Because we're used to picking up a phone that was shaped like this. This was a phone for us, And so she has no knowledge about that. She's like, no, she holds the phone to her ear like this. So they have no knowledge about that. They only have knowledge of this. And so I think we're in an interesting space that we remember that one telephone, that one corded telephone, that the cord was stretched out because we tried to make it go as far as it could.
Hey, if you were one of the rich kids that had a separate line,
right,
you could talk in private, but if not, somebody else in the house was going to pick up another phone and tell you, hey, Tiffany, it's past whatever o'clock. Get your butt in the bed.
Yes.
The mortification.
Yes, absolutely.
All coolness went out the window when mama and grandma picked up the phone in the other room and put you in your place.
Absolutely.
Hey, and probably called out your full government name.
Your whole name. Or better yet, at my house, my dad would pick up and just start dialing, and you're like, Dad, I'm on the phone. I'm on the phone, Dad.
Oh my God. Oh, we need to call in a therapist and have a session real quick. The trauma we suffered from those telephone moments. Yeah. It was real.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Oh man.
But it's so funny. So I love that. I think you and I both, I guess I'd say like hip hop heads, right? Like we're both into hip hop, and I think hip hop is, we experience it from a different lens. I think we experienced hip hop like the creation and the beginning and the foundation of hip hop. But I think at this point, we're also seeing like hip hop through a different lens. We're looking at it through an academic lens. We're looking at pedagogy. We're looking at cultural influence, how it's infiltrated our lives in general. And people try to say that it's not, but okay, that's a whole other conversation.
No, it did.
Something interesting that I experienced earlier this year. I told you I was from Queens, New York. Earlier this year, I went to see Nas. Much respect, sir. Much respect, Nas. I went to see Nas in concert, and he was playing in Las Vegas. And he was playing with the Las Vegas Philharmonic. And I I feel like this was such an interesting lesson. I feel like it's such a lesson that our generation can really understand and take. Yes, we know Nas of, the fatigue jacket and the cap, like just always on tilt, and Timberland boots, and we know that Nas, and the Nas from the movie Belly, and we know him. And it was just so interesting to see him in a tuxedo and beautiful Italian leather shoes, and the same music. It's the same music. These are the same lyrics that he wrote 20, 30 years ago, but it's packaged in a different way. He has a Philharmonic playing behind him. He has, like different lights and different action. And so it's just so interesting how in the rebuild, like that is how we continue to progress. If we're willing to let go of, right? He had to let go of something. And I'm not saying that he does this all the time. I'm saying that, that was for that specific thing. But
Yeah.
it's interesting how if we're willing to let go of other things, we already have the confidence, right? Because he's been a hip hop artist, a rapper for 30 years, 30 plus years. He already has the confidence. It's interesting how he took a step and tried something different and found a spot. And sometimes it is that small. It might have been listening to, a Nat King Cole album that said, oh, maybe he said, oh, maybe I'll wear a tuxedo. I wonder what it'll be like if I performed, if I rule the world in a tuxedo. And how it just opens up so much more. It just opened up this whole, residency for him in Vegas. And I think what's interesting is when we give thought to, maybe I'll try something different. Like maybe I'll cut my hair and rock a short haircut and see how that, right? Because we've been conditioned to think that long hair there's only one standard of beauty.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the longest my hair has been.
It is gorgeous.
Thank you. And look who's talking. Your
and
hair.
People are watching this, and I want y'all to know Tiffany got up early on this morning and did the full glow up. So we are very grateful for all the blowout and effort that went into it. So I got to give you your flowers, my dear.
Listen, that's today. That's just today. That is just today. But it's so funny because years ago, I wouldn't wear my hair long. Like this is the longest that I've been wearing my hair. Mm-hmm. And because I felt like there was every Black girl in America was wearing her hair with a center part straight down. And I was like, that's not my style. Like I have the courage to try something different.
Yeah.
And I would rock a pixie. Like I would rock it. And this is my hair. I'm not relaxed. I got to get a blowout. Don't let it get too warm in here.
Or even have that internal warmth.
Don't let it get too warm. And yes, I'm at that age where that internal summer starts occurring. Like, don't let that happen because this hair will turn into something completely different. But it's just the courage to take a step, try something different, try something new. Yeah.
Tell me about your real life clients, and we will protect their privacy.
Yes.
So, but
yes,
I'm very
absolutely.
curious if you can think of either one client or maybe a commonality with your clients where you are seeing them take that one bold move, that one powerful step.
Yeah.
What does that look like in practical examples for your
So
folks?
I think if I'm talking about my clients, I think some of the commonalities of my clients are typically educated or high performing, high income earners, successful people, or maybe they have a deep sense of self. They could be artists, but they have a deep connection, let's say, to what they do, the work that they do, the success that they've generated so far. So that's typically the client that I seem to find, or that seems to find me. Honestly, they're just looking for someone who looks or sounds like them, who's willing to give them permission. Like they want to try something different, but they feel like they don't have the permission to. Yeah. And I'm definitely the person to say, yeah, let's try that. Like, I don't see why that can't work. And it's only because I've looked at lots of possibilities. I've worked with lots of different work groups, from our C-suite to, the cashiers at CVS. And I think it's really just often people are just looking for permission.
Mm.
Yeah.
And what is it that you could say if you had a room full of those folks right now, which
Hmm.
you do, these people
Yeah.
have tuned
Yeah.
in to this
Yeah.
episode because something they're looking for that permission. They're looking for some way to unlock whatever the next thing is.
Hmm.
What is the one tip that you can give them? The one bit of advice if they are at that threshold to possibly do something different, or what would you tell them?
Yeah. So I think I would give them the tip that I give typically. So in working in HR operations, my specialty is talent acquisition, right? So recruiting, hiring, supporting people. I'm so upset that I missed out on your LinkedIn challenge, but I know you're going to run another one, I'm sure soon, and I will be signing up for that. So that's my background in HR. And one thing that I tell people when I work with early career professionals and college students, and this is probably dating myself again, another ad that we would often see uh, in the 80s and 90s is drink responsibly. I think people have seen that. It often
Yeah.
comes on like after a Heineken commercial or
Yeah.
after a spirits commercial. Drink responsibly. I love that. I love that. That's their disclaimer. We're offering you this, but drink responsibly. And often in talent acquisition and recruiting, I would tell applicants and candidates, apply irresponsibly. Like apply to the position that you want, not the position that you think you have the credentials to get. This is specifically around a lot around women, right? Because women will apply to roles where they have 80% of the 80% of the responsibility in the task they've already done, and they're afraid to apply. Men will have 20% of the experience, and they will apply to. This is statistically. This is not my
That
numbers,
no, I mean,
but
think of how, and with all love to the women, think of how screwed up we are.
yeah,
If we're
all the
looking,
time.
what are we telling young girls
Yes,
versus young boys for
yes,
us to get to adulthood, into our professional lives, and our perceptions are so off?
right, right,
If
yeah,
I'm 80% qualified, I'm looking at
mm-hmm,
that application or the job posting, and
yeah,
I'm already taking myself out of the running because
mm-hmm.
I'm maybe don't have one credential.
One
But a
credential,
dude is
yeah,
gonna look at that and say, "Oh, rocket scientist? Psh, I like
yeah,
rockets."
exactly. Exactly. That is exactly. I watched that show that one time. I watched the documentary. I spent 45 minutes, right? I can
Oh
tell
my
you
god.
about,
You
yeah.
ain't lying though.
This is so true. We're laughing about it because it's so it is
Yes.
so true. It is
Yeah.
so true. Yeah. And so that's what I would tell people who are looking to do something differently. Apply irresponsibly. Go after it. It doesn't need to make sense. It shouldn't make sense. Go after it. Apply irresponsibly. If it's a job, if it's a person, there is no way that, and the whole world needs to be grateful that I no longer rock a pixie, because when I had my short haircut, there's no way you couldn't tell me that any guy that I was interested, I wasn't gonna, do you see me? Do you see this haircut? Do you know do you know the confidence that comes with this haircut?
Yeah, you're
And
lucky I'm
so like,
talking to you right now.
yes, go. If it's someone you're interested in, go after that person. Apply irresponsibly. If it's a home that you're looking, if it's a place to live, go out. The money will figure itself out. It'll figure itself out. If you're supposed to have it, the money will figure itself out. Because it'll
Uh,
be the moment that you say, you know what? I think I want to purchase this little beachside home. All of a sudden, Auntie such and such comes out of nowhere and is like, you know what? I put this little money aside. I had this under
yeah.
my bed. It's $30,000. Here you go. I just want to bless you with a little something.
Girl. Yeah. And again, these are things that might have been in plain sight, but
Mhm.
you stay locked in whatever your
Right,
comfort zone is,
right,
and
right.
you don't see it. You only
Yeah,
see the things that you see every day. But
yeah.
then you start to step out of that, you get out of that bubble, and all of a
Mhm.
sudden, oh, I see an opportunity. I see something.
Absolutely.
And things will naturally just find their way to where they're supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah. We just have to take the first step. Yeah.
yeah. I love that advice. Apply irresponsibly, especially to our women that don't be the
Yes.
one that says no. Let somebody else say no. Don't you be the one that tells yourself no.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is a philosophy for me for life.
Yeah.
That is a life philosophy. Let someone else tell you no. I'm not telling
Yeah.
myself no. I'm going to hear no enough. Even with my daughters, my daughter's 16, she'll be 17. There are some things that I say no to, but there are a lot of things that I'm like, I'm going to let you figure it out because the world is going to tell you no enough. I
Mhm.
don't need to tell you no about everything. Sometimes there are some things that the world just will tell you.
Yeah.
I don't need to tell myself, no. I need to go after what I want and figure it out.
Yeah. I want you to speak directly to the person that tuned in here today
Hmm.
because they are at that scary moment of something is changing. And they have we're talking all the inspirational things like apply irresponsibly, try and do this scary first step or whatever. But there are some people that things have happened involuntarily. Like we say, it's kicked them out of their normal orbit. And you and I both touched on the depression, the want to go and hide and just kind of
Yeah.
just put everything on pause indefinitely. Speak to that person that has been knocked out of their routine, knocked out of their comfort zone, and they're not feeling that positivity. They ain't in that go girl moment. They're
Right.
like, oh my God, how can I get beyond this?
Hmm.
How am I going to start over? How am I going to survive beyond this great life-changing thing? What do you want to tell those folks to give them some hope of what the future could look like?
Yeah. So I think to give those people hope, essentially, and it was to give myself hope, right? When I was going through that, there are a couple of things you might need to change the table that you're sitting at. If you're sitting with the same group of friends who you all are having the same conversation,
Yeah.
you might need to go sit at a different table. And that's going to be hard, but it's not impossible. And I think if you're intentional about making friends and being in a new community, and if you don't find the community that you're interested in having, then you get to create it because someone else needs it. So I would think that's the first thing. The second thing that I would say is just like when I'm advising candidates or applicants who, let's say, are new to a job and they're about to be onboarded, one of the things that I say is find out all the benefits. And if you have a job and you have benefits, you likely have access to whether it's a therapist, a coach, a counselor. Use your benefits. Use your benefits. Don't leave any money on the table. Your health insurance is paying for it. Use your benefits, find a coach, find a therapist. So many companies, organizations, and you and I have worked for larger organizations, but so many small organizations have this as well. There are employee assistance programs. Find a coach. They have
Yeah.
coaches for coaching around stress. They have coaching around fitness. They have coaching around nutrition. They have coaching around finances. They have therapists. Find someone. Don't leave if you're not using all of the benefits that you get from your career, you are leaving money on the table. If
Yeah.
you're not using all of your employee benefits, you are leaving money on the table.
Yeah.
Let's just say we're talking to someone. So, in all transparency, there was a time when I was transitioning out of being married when I didn't have a job. I wasn't working. And there are so many resources. Find the resources. These little telephones that we have, find the resource. Whether
Yeah.
there's free therapy online, there are organizations that pay for people to use, find a coach, find a therapist, find professional help, and sit at a different table. Those are like the two main things
I love
that
that.
I would say. And also remove yourself from every day you have to renew your thinking. So if you're in a situation where you're thinking the same way, choose another thought. Just choose a different thought. It sounds really simple, but sometimes you just got to choose another thought. Yeah.
I love that. Sit at a different table, because you're
Yeah.
right. Sometimes we're in an echo chamber
Yes.
where our outlook, what we're feeling, what we're thinking,
Mm-hmm.
our limiting beliefs sometimes are right there in that circle, and we've got to just change where we're sitting, change our
Yeah.
perspective, and things can open up from there. But I want to go touch on what you're talking about with the
Yeah.
employee benefits, because I'm very open that when it's almost been a year since I had my layoff and recovered, but it was emotional.
Yeah.
And that is the thing that I think people say all over and over again. When that job ends, or when that organization basically pushes you out, there's a whole that you go through, and you think, oh, I'm a baddie. I'm all that. I'm black girl magic sprinkled all over the place. And then when somebody
Yeah.
says, no, thank you, we're done with you, it feels like the rejection it is. And
Yeah.
when you talk about the benefits that you're leaving behind, whether with previous roles, whether I left voluntarily or was laid off, that is the first thing that one of the first things I thought about. After you're, worried about your money, you're just like, what about my benefits?
Right. What about all those
How
sick days? All those sick days that you didn't take? Why?
all those sick days.
Why?
And here's my number, 117. When I left my former career, that was
Mm-hmm.
what I thought. I had 117 personal days
No.
that went unused.
No.
And that was from, no shade to the organization. They didn't have anything to do with it, but there was no payout for that. And it never occurred to me until after I left the role. And I was like, that's 117 times that I rushed to a doctor's appointment and then rushed right back to my desk. Or 117 times I got up and I went to work sick.
Yeah.
117 times that I missed out on something, family emergency or family joy, where I thought work was more important. And all of that came rushing back to me when that job came to an end. And I tell people that over and over again, that I really need to tattoo it on my forehead as a reminder of where you need to put your priorities.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, I'm glad to hear an actual HR professional say that out loud, that your benefits are there for you to use them, not just see it taken out of your check and be like,
right. 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 Absolutely. Absolutely. And, maybe it is getting a 117 plate. Maybe it's a sign. Maybe it's a something on your desk that says one. Because sometimes we just need that. You make such a great point. Sometimes we just need that tiny reminder. Sometimes it's just a tiny reminder. I have love tattooed on the inside of my finger just to remind me, to love myself first.
yes.
Because if I don't love myself, I can't love other people. And 117 is such a reminder. If you're not taking care of yourself, you're no good to your husband, your children, your parents, your grandparents. You're just not.
Yeah.
You're just not. So I love that. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
It's just a reminder. And I will say, for you, with your expertise, with the people that you work with, both on your, on your private client side and then also on the HR side, I want you to just tell these, I feel like I'm like, tell these people.
Tell them.
I want you to give me your best, your best go girl, or you do that rah speech to help folks understand that they've got to do the things for themselves. Or those of us that are waiting, like you said, for permission, those of us that are waiting for a sign, or I'm going to wait until whatever the finish line that we've put arbitrarily out there for ourselves. Speak to those folks that are waiting.
Yeah. So for this, I would definitely bring my dad into the mix. Before the pandemic at Costco, we would have these. You go to Costco and there'll be different stations. I'm sure they did this there, where they would have samples. Yes.
Yeah.
So
You
they
can have
have
whole
these
lunch.
samples. Yeah. They have. And so I'd call my dad and I'd say on a day that I'm working, hey dad, what's up? How you doing? Say, oh, I just got back from lunch. Where'd you go for lunch? I went to Costco. I was like, oh, what'd you get? He's like, oh,
Everything?
well, I went to this station and I had this, and I went to this station and I had this. And so this would be his thing. And so I noticed when I was younger, and this is what he did at Costco, they'd show a platter of food and he'd say, I'll take that one. I'll have that one. And he'd typically point to the largest piece. And I would say, my gosh, dad, like, you have to pick the biggest piece. And he said, if I don't take it, somebody else is going to take it. So for all of you who are watching, you're scrolling online and you're watching everybody live their big, bold, audacious life. They're living it because you don't have the guts to live it. So you can tell yourself the story that it's too hard. I shouldn't do that. No one my age should do that. It's too difficult. It's too late. I'm too fat. I'm too skinny. I'm too short. I'm too. You can tell yourself all of that. Or you can have the courage to actually live and do the things that you want to do. And the moment that you start doing it, you'll start finding all the other people who have the courage to do the same thing. So that is my word. Go after, get the big piece of chicken. Get the big piece of chicken. Stop waiting. Don't go. You don't deserve the burnt piece. You deserve the big piece of chicken. Years ago on the Roscoe's menu, my cousin's favorite entree was one succulent breast and a waffle. Right? That was her thing. I did the wings and the waffle. She wanted one succulent. Go after the succulence. Go after the sweetness. Go after the goodness of life. Stop waiting for and accepting those burnt crumbs and the leftover pieces and the piece that's been underneath the rotisserie light for 7 hours. Stop waiting. Yeah. Go after what you want. Go after what you want. And the good news is you have people like Akilah, like Tiffany, like Brian, like whoever who's done this before, and they're willing to go after it. So you have a blueprint.
Yeah.
You got a framework. You got people to support you in doing it. Do it and get the support that you need to have the life of your dreams.
I love that. And you segue into my next question, because people are going to listen to that and say, I want to work with Tiffany. How do I find Tiffany?
Absolutely.
Where can I have a conversation with Tiffany? So would you let folks know if they are interested in working with you or even bringing you in for a larger talk? Because you do big organizations, you do individual clients, you can do this work at multiple capacities. So how can folks get in contact with you if they want to work with Tiffany on a deeper level?
If you want to work with me, you can find me. I'm on YouTube, The Rebuild Talks with Tiffany. I'm on Instagram. I am Tiffany Nelson. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm Tiffany Nelson. Find me. You can email me, Tiffany at TN Framework. I'm happy to work with clients. I'm happy to have individual clients. I work with groups. I work with corporate clients. I work with educators. But yeah, reach out and find me. We'll put the details in the description so you all can find me.
Absolutely.
And find me, and then find someone else to help someone else find me also.
Yeah.
Because
share it with a friend.
Is better everything is better when we do it together. When we have someone to share it with, everything is better.
It is. And here I am. I'm closing it out, but I just had another thought, because when you were talking about, going out and doing your thing, finding your thing, and you'll find other people that are there that will welcome you, that will, give you whatever tips and guidance is. It also goes to joy and success. I've told people over and over again that there's enough joy and success for all of us. Just because Tiffany did it and is successful doesn't mean it took away the opportunities for you.
Yeah.
If so-and-so is rich and successful, it doesn't mean that there's less money left behind for the rest of us. You can go and find your thing. You can go and claim your share, and it's going to take care of all of us. So don't hold back. Reach out to your experts. We're going to put Tiffany's information in the description so that you can get to her easily. And I'm going to say publicly out loud that Tiffany is going to come back and do another episode soon.
Absolutely.
And we going to see what other scary things she's done for herself as her own public experiment and hear all the feedback.
Absolutely. I can't thank you enough for having me. This time was really special. Thank you so much for having me on the Melanated Midlife.
Hey, I appreciate you, my dear. We are going to rock this out. We're going to have this posted in 2 different places because Tiffany's podcast is called The Rebuild, and you can find it in all the places that you find podcasts. But more than anything, I hope that you reach out, make a comment. If there's something that we said in this episode that resonated with you, or maybe we didn't even explain it well enough, put it in the comments, and both Tiffany or I will respond to you because that's what we're here for.
Yes,
Reach
I would
out,
love it.
ask the scary questions, show the vulnerable side of yourself, and let's unlock whatever the next thing is for you. So thank you for joining the podcast. I appreciate anybody that takes time to just, sit here and join the conversation with us and sharing it with someone that you love. So thank you. We'll see you here next time.